My name is Eliza. I am 35 years old, and I am an artist. For many years, my life felt complicated. There were hurts and sadness from a time before. But now I am trying to start new. That's why Liam and I moved to this old house in the south of France. It's called Villa Rosa, which means pink villa. It sounds lovely, doesn't it? But the house feels a little quiet, a little empty, even though Liam is here with me. Liam is a kind man and I love him very much. He also had a difficult time before we came here. We hoped this new place would be a fresh start for both of us. A place where we could forget the pain and build something happy together. However, since we arrived at Villa Rosa, I've had a strange feeling. It's like someone else is here too. Not a real person, of course. But it's like the shadow of someone who lived here before is still all around us. I see little things, feel little moments that make me wonder about Liam's past. Today, I want to talk about one of these things. It happened just this morning, and it made me feel a little uneasy again. I want to tell you about what I found in Liam's study. It's about a photograph, and it made me think about the woman who was here before me. Liam's past wife. This morning, Liam was out in the garden. He likes to walk among the rose bushes early in the day. I stayed inside because the morning air was still a little cool. I decided to tidy up his study. It's a nice room, with big windows that look out onto the back of the house. There are many books on the shelves, and his big wooden desk always has papers and drawings spread across it. As I was putting some of his drawing tools away, I saw it. It was tucked under a pile of papers, almost hidden. A photograph. It was old, the edges a little soft and yellowed. In the picture, there were two people, a man and a woman. The man was Liam, younger, maybe 10 years younger. He looked happy, his arm around the woman next to him. The woman. She was beautiful. She had long, dark hair that fell past her shoulders and a bright smile that reached her eyes. She was wearing a simple dress with flowers on it. They were standing in a place that looked familiar, a garden maybe, with lots of sunlight. My heart did a little jump when I saw the picture. I knew immediately who she was, Sophie. Liam had mentioned her name a few times, always quickly, always with a kind of sadness in his voice. He had told me she was his wife before me, and that she had died a long time ago. But seeing her in the photograph so full of life and happiness next to a younger Liam, it felt different. It made her feel more real, more present in a way I hadn't expected. It wasn't just a story, Liam told me. She was a person, and they were happy together in this world. I held the photograph in my hands for a long time. My fingers traced the outline of her face, the way her hand rested on Liam's arm. They looked like they belonged together, a perfect match. And suddenly, I felt a little out of place. Like I was looking at a moment in time where I didn't exist, a moment that was still somehow living in this house. I put the photograph back under the papers, exactly where I found it. I didn't want Liam to know I had seen it, not yet. I wasn't sure how I felt or what to say. A lot of thoughts started going through my head. Was this her garden? Did they plant these rose bushes together? Was this her favourite room in the house? Suddenly, all the little things I had noticed since we arrived seemed to have a new meaning. The empty frame in his study. Was that where this picture used to be? The locked drawer in our bedroom. Were her things inside? The faint floral scent I sometimes smelled. Was that her perfume? I went downstairs and made myself a cup of tea. My hands were still a little shaky. I sat by the window looking out at the French countryside. It was so peaceful here, so beautiful. This was supposed to be our fresh start. But this photograph, it felt like a piece of the past that was still very much alive in this house, in Liam's memories. It made me wonder about their life together. What were they like? What did they do? What did Liam love most about her? And then, the question I didn't want to ask myself but couldn't ignore, could I ever replace her in his heart? Was I just living in the shadow of someone he had loved so deeply? Liam came back inside a little while later, his cheeks a bit pink from the cool air. He smiled at me and my heart felt a little twist. He looked happy to see me. But I couldn't help but think about the happy young man in the photograph with Sophie. Was that happiness still somewhere inside him, hidden away with those old memories? I didn't say anything about the picture. I just smiled back and asked him if he wanted some tea. We sat together in silence for a few minutes, and I kept looking at him, trying to see if there were any signs of her in his eyes, in his movements. It was a strange feeling. It was like she was here with us, in the quiet of the morning, in the old wood of the house, in the unspoken memories that hung in the air. And I knew in that moment that this was something I needed to understand. This shadow of the past in our new home. This woman in the photograph. This development of the first point focuses on Eliza's discovery and her immediate emotional and mental reactions. It uses simple language and sentence structures, focusing on her internal thoughts and feelings as she processes this new piece of information about Liam's past. The word count should be around the requested length, setting the stage for the unfolding conflict of the story. Days turned into a week, and the image of Sophie in the photograph stayed with me. It was like a little seed of doubt had been planted in my mind, and it was starting to grow. Everywhere I looked in Villa Rosa, I began to see little reminders, or what I thought might be reminders, of her. In the living room, there was a small vase on the mantelpiece. It was made of delicate blue glass, and it always seemed to be empty. One afternoon, I saw Liam carefully clean it. When I asked him about it later, he just said it was a gift from a long time ago. He didn't say who gave it to him, but I wondered if it was Sophie. Blue seemed to be her colour in the photograph. In the garden, I noticed Liam had a special way of caring for one particular rose bush. It had white flowers, unlike the pink and red ones that grew everywhere else. He would spend extra time watering it and checking its leaves. One evening, as we were walking through the garden, I pointed to it and asked, "These white roses are lovely. Do they have a special name?" Liam's face became a little sad. He said, "They were her favourite." Just that, her favourite. It was another small piece of Sophie that was still living here. Sometimes late at night when Liam was asleep beside me, I would hear him whisper in his sleep. It wasn't always clear, but once I thought I heard the name Sophie. It was just a whisper, a breath, but it made my heart ache a little. Was he dreaming of her? Was she still a part of his nights, even if she wasn't a part of his days with me? I started to look for more clues, little things that might tell me more about Sophie and their life here. I opened drawers in the study when Liam wasn't around. I found old notebooks filled with Liam's handwriting, but the pages were mostly about his work. There were a few poems tucked inside one of them, and the words seemed full of love and longing. I wondered if they were for Sophie. One afternoon I was exploring the attic. It was dusty and filled with old furniture covered in white sheets. In a corner I found a small wooden box. It was locked, but the lock looked old and weak. I hesitated for a long time. I knew I shouldn't open it, that it was private, but the curiosity was too strong. With a little effort, the lock broke. Inside the box there were more photographs, pictures of Liam and Sophie, younger, laughing, holding hands on what looked like a beach. There were also letters tied together with a faded blue ribbon. The handwriting on the envelopes was delicate and elegant. I picked one up. The name on it was Liam, my darling. Reading those words, seeing those pictures, it felt like I was stepping into a world where I didn't belong. A world that Liam had shared with someone else, in this very house. It made me feel like an outsider, like I was living in their memories. I put everything back in the box carefully, trying to make it look like I hadn't touched anything, but the images were burned into my mind. Sophie wasn't just a name anymore. She was a face, a smile, a loving hand in Liam's. The feeling of her presence grew stronger. It wasn't just in the objects I found. It was in the way Liam sometimes looked out of the window, lost in thought. It was in the quiet moments when he seemed far away, even when he was sitting right next to me. I try to build our own happiness in Villa Rosa. I painted in my studio, filling the canvases with the bright colours of the French countryside. I cooked Liam his favourite meals. We took walks in the nearby lavender fields, the air filled with their sweet scent. But even in those happy moments, there was always a little voice in the back of my head, wondering if he was comparing me to her. Was I as beautiful, as interesting, as loved? One evening, we were having dinner on the terrace. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It was a beautiful moment, and I should have felt happy. But then Liam said something that made my heart sink. He looked at the sky and said softly, "Sophie loved sunsets." It was a small comment, but it felt like a punch to my stomach. In that moment, she was there with us again, sharing our sunset. It felt like I couldn't have a single beautiful moment in this house without being reminded of her. The more I learned, the more I saw, the more I felt like I was living in her shadow. It wasn't just about the past anymore. It felt like she was still a part of our present, a silent guest in our new home. And I didn't know how to make her go away. The weight of Sophie's memory in Villa Rosa was becoming too heavy for me to carry alone. Every object, every quiet moment seemed to whisper her name. I couldn't keep pretending that it didn't bother me anymore. I loved Liam, and I wanted our new beginning to be real, but it felt like we were still living in the pages of someone else's story. One afternoon, Liam was in his study working on some drawings. I took a deep breath and went to find him. He looked up when I came in, a gentle smile on his face. "Everything okay, Eliza?" he asked. I sat down on the chair opposite his desk. My hands felt a little clammy. "Liam," I began, my voice a little shaky. "There's something I need to talk to you about." He put down his pencil, his expression becoming more serious. He could probably tell that something was wrong. "What is it?" he asked softly. I hesitated for a moment, trying to find the right words. "Since we moved here," I said slowly, "I've felt like Sophie is still here." Liam's eyes flickered, and he looked away for a second before looking back at me. He didn't say anything, just waited for me to continue. "I've seen things," I went on. "The blue vase, the white roses in the garden, and I found a photograph in your papers of you and her when you were younger." Liam's face became pale. He looked surprised, maybe even a little upset. Eliza, he said quietly, I didn't know you saw that. It's okay, I said quickly. I didn't mean to snoop, but seeing it, and all the other little things, it makes me feel like I'm living in her past. Like I'm trying to build something new in a place that still belongs to her. My voice started to tremble a little. Sometimes, Liam, I continued, I feel like you're not really here with me, like a part of you is still with her, in your memories of this house. Liam reached across the desk and took my hand. His hand was warm and strong. Eliza, he said, his voice full of sincerity, that's not true, I love you. You are my present, my future. But I needed to understand. Then why are there so many reminders of her here? I asked, my eyes filling with tears. Why do you keep her photograph? Why do you still care for her favourite roses in a special way? Why did you whisper her name in your sleep? Liam sighed, a deep, sad sound. He let go of my hand and leaned back in his chair. He looked out of the window for a long moment before speaking. Sophie was a very important part of my life, he began, his voice quiet. We were married for many years. We shared a lot of happiness in this house. When she died, it was the hardest thing I ever went through. This house, it holds a lot of memories of her. He looked back at me, his eyes filled with pain. Keeping a few things. It's not because I still love her in that way, Eliza. It's because she was a part of my story. It's a way of remembering someone I cared about deeply. He paused, then continued. The photograph, I didn't even realize it was still there. It was from a long time ago. The blue vase was a gift from her, yes. It was something she loved. And the white roses, they were the first flowers I ever gave her. They just became a habit to care for them. He looked down at his hands, whispering her name in my sleep. I didn't know I did that. Sometimes I still have dreams of the past. It's not because I want to be back there, Eliza. It's just the memories are still a part of me. He looked up at me again, his eyes pleading for understanding. When I said Sophie loved sunsets, it wasn't because I was comparing you. It was just a memory that came to me watching the beautiful colours. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy the sunsets with you, Eliza. I do. Very much. His honesty, his vulnerability, it started to break down the wall of fear and doubt I had built around myself. I could see the pain in his eyes, the genuine love he had for me. So, I said softly, she's not still between us. Liam reached for my hand again, holding it tightly. No, Eliza. She's in my past. You are my present, and I want you to be my future. I understand that having these things around is making you feel uneasy. I didn't realize how much it was affecting you. He looked around the study, then at me. We can put some of these things away, if it will help you feel more comfortable. The photograph, I can keep it somewhere private. The vase, maybe we can put it away for a while. And the roses, they can still grow, but they will be a part of the whole garden, not just something separate. His willingness to understand and to make changes for my sake touched me deeply. I realized that he hadn't been intentionally trying to keep Sophie between us. He was just carrying the weight of his past in a way that he hadn't fully processed. Thank you, Liam, I said, my voice thick with emotion. I don't want you to forget her, but I need to feel like this is our home, our life together. He squeezed my hand. It is, Eliza. It is. We just need to make sure it feels that way for both of us. In that moment, sitting in his study, surrounded by the books and papers, I felt a shift. The heavy cloud of Sophie's memory started to lift. Liam had opened up to me, and I had finally spoken my truth. It was the first step towards truly making Villa Rosa our own, and amidst the fragrant lavender fields of the south of France. We learned that true love doesn't erase the past, but rather learns to embrace it to cultivate a more radiant future.